Hello, welcome back to the latest and greatest Warhammer Fantasy Battle Report. This is a 2,400 point ETC style rule with my Dragonbane Ogres, my brand new BSB, against Jeffrey's Warriors of Chaos. Pretty much very similar list to the one that I played against my Wood Elves, but for him, and we're just messing around trying to practice these tournaments. You'll see some descriptions of these guys as they go. So his army from his right flank is 4 Skull Crushers, kitted out, tough as nails, as usual, with the Banner of Eternal Flame. 1 Chariot of Corn, and he only brought 2 this time. He thought he'd bring it down a little bit and add a few Warriors of Chaos. So he took Warriors of Chaos, no Demon Prince, and Chaos Warriors there, with his level 4 Sorcerer Lord in the front of this unit. His BSB with the disc on a disc with Talisman of Protection, Soul Feeder, some dogs out in front that have Vanguard, and I think the Scaly Skin, so it gives them a 6-up armor save. So that's some of his chaff and redirectors. And yeah, very important unit. Only 35 points really is pretty cool. Unfortunately, they're not fast cav, but that's all right. Can't have everything. Here's the explanation of the general in with the warriors. He's got a level 2 sorcerer of Shadow sitting on this horse. Out here in the middle, we talked a little bit before the game actually started talking about this. Keeping him out here on his own, but Jeffrey's plan was to keep him far enough back and enough out of the way that I wouldn't really be able to get to him. He's got his Chimera here with regen, the tail attacks, fiery breath, just pretty gnarly little guy in his 2nd chariot. Over here, that was kind of a building in the middle. We played it more as just kind of an impassable terrain. We did not play it as an actual building. And then on his far left flank, he's got 5 Marauder Horsemen and a Hell Cannon, the mighty Hell Cannon. So to combat this, I've got 4 Mournfang Cavalry with the 5-point banner that lets me reroll a failed leadership test if need be. Got a Saber Tusk, 3 Lead Belchers with my Butcher in there, and I realized during the first turn that I did not actually take Lead Belchers in this list, so they will miraculously disappear. Bunch of Bulls, my BSB. Big unit of Iron Guts with my Tyrant. You can see what they had earlier on. I guess I don't have my BSB. He just has the heavy armor with 4-up ward. I have 2 units of Noblar Trappers. My level 2's in with a nice burly unit of Man-Eaters. My level 2 has Beasts. He's got Ruby, Ring of Fire, and I think Power Scroll. And the Man-Eaters, they're Poison, Stubborn, Banner of Eternal Flame. I have a Champion, Standard Bearer, obviously, Musician, extra hand weapons ×2, and ×2 great weapons. So I'm really excited about this build. I'm really excited about this list. I think it covers a whole lot. In the far corner, I've got another Saber Tusk and an Iron Blaster. Don't leave home without it. But I'm really excited about this list. First off, all my models are at least base coated, so I'm getting there. None are completely gray, and some are fully painted. But it's really coming along nicely here. I love these Mournfang. I just love the models. They're just too fun not play with. Anyhow, I don't have any Vanguards, so he brings his horsemen up here. This river ends up being just a normal river, but I hide behind it, just offer some kind of something. A little bit of protection, make him think about just check himself. And he Vanguards up his dogs to go get in front of my Mournfang, who are headed up against his Skull Crushers. So I do win first turn. Luckily, I roll well enough, and I move everything forward like this. I put the Mournfang just outside of charging range of the Skull Crushers. I move my non-existent Lead Belchers up, and I bring everybody up just so I'm barely touching the forest, which is a fungal forest, so they're stupid, but my Iron Guts have the leadership banner, so I'm rerollable 10, feeling pretty good about this. I put up the 2 units of Noblars, and the Man-Eaters are going to protect my right flank. Hopefully with the Noblars I'll be able to take out his chariots and not worry about it. I move my Saber-Tusk here so that he's not able to charge me. There's no room between me and the dogs, and everyone's in my flank, and he passes his check to charge with his what's called Warriors unit. This is what it looks like on my right flank, just the 2 units of Noblars. I couldn't get them completely overlapped, but if he brings his Chimera in, which he cannot see the first unit, I'll just be kind of stuck. And I have the Ruby Ring of Fire, so I'm hoping to get the Chimera over this way and then shoot it with the Butcher. And I bring my Saber-Tusk up just here, so if he wants to charge me, he'll be in the water. If I get really lucky, you know, who knows? I may win combat. Who knows what might happen? Just puts him in the water. Makes me feel good. Unfortunately, the river doesn't do anything to him. It's just a normal river, as I said. So Warriors of Chaos turn 1. He brings the chariot around the corner of the building. He moves the Chimera up, as you can see, and flame templates me, kills a bunch of my guys, puts a wound on my Man-Eaters, drops a rock on the, what are they called? The Ogres here, but because they're stupid, because they're in the thing, they're immune to psychology. No big deal. Kills one whole Ogre, but again, that's not a big problem. So, Ogre's turn 2. Now that the dogs are in between me and the Skull Crushers, I don't even worry about moving my Mournfang Cavalry, although looking at this, I think I perhaps missed a real opportunity where I could have charged the dogs, overrun and hit the chariot or something like that. You know, in retrospect, they're such massive models, I'd probably be sticking out, and he'd get his flank charged with the Skull Crushers, and I just didn't want that. I moved the bulls up just a little bit so they're in the forest. In retrospect there, I should have kept them back so that if he charged me, he would not be able to be steadfast, but I could be. And then I just consolidate here so he can't actually charge me with his Chimera, really. I suppose he could, you know, if he really pushed it, but it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, and I'd be able to hurt him back. For, you know, shits and giggles, I throw them all out there, 6 dice, and I honestly rolled that. In the first turn, I did do 1 wound from Iron Blaster onto the Hell Cannon, and I'd shoot out the chariot, which is pretty cool, so that's one less thing to worry about. The Marauder Horsemen easily killed the Saber-Tusk, and they're now getting over to threaten the Iron Blaster. So as you can see here, he moved the dogs even more in front of the Mournfang. It's kind of hard to see, but he's charged into the flank of my Saber-Tusk. He puts his BSB on top of the building there, and really it's an awesome model. I hope you guys enjoy the sunburst that he's carrying around. He again restrains himself with everything from charging, and he flies his Chimera into the back. Here he casts a spell against my Butcher. This is my Maw Butcher, and does 1 wound to me, and I'm stupid for the rest of the game. Again, I've got good leadership. I'm not too worried. He then fails his leadership, moves up with the Hell Cannon this round, charges the Iron Blaster. I'm not too worried about that. It should be easy for the Iron Blaster. And this is what it looks like from behind my lines. I'm not too worried. You can see there the chariot's sticking out right in front of my bulls, but just in general, I'm going to turn and face the Chimera, see what happens. So the chariot easily killed the Saber-Tusk. He's now sitting right in front of my bulls, and it's so tempting to charge the corner, but we'll see what I decide to do there. In the end, combat did not go quite as planned. I killed 4 of his. He did put 3 wounds on me and with the charge, and a musician. He wins combat by 1. I fail by 1. I flee off the table, and he pursues me off the table. So I did accomplish what I wanted to do with the Iron Blaster. I got rid of his chariot and just was a threat for a little while, but it would have been great if they stuck around. So Ogre's turn 3. I turn the Man-Eaters to face the Chimera. I pretty much leave the Bulls and the Iron Guts where they are, and I put the 2 units of Noblars immediately in front of the chariot. You know, he's going to really have to charge me, and he'll then most likely kill my first unit and overrun into the second unit. And this is how things are looking. You know, we're getting closer to getting a really good shot of the BSB. But I'm happy with the way things are looking out. You know, he's blocked himself, so he can't really charge with the warriors. Not too worried. I buff up. I believe I do an all characters get +3 toughness, just in case he does come into me there. And I shift my Mournfang with a double wheel around just to the very edge of the board, so that I have a few more options here for charging should I get one. But again, I'm happy with the standoff. He's blocked himself out there. Can't really do a whole lot with his Skull Crushers. So Warrior's turn 3. He flies in right behind my double unit here of Ogres, and you know, I'm starting to realize I'm a bit of a cluster here in the middle, but he's left his flank open to a charge with the Man-Eaters, so I'm okay with that. He then just shifts his Skull Crushers over and reforms his dogs, which is a mistake, as we'll see later. In my way of thinking, I think it's a mistake. And he's just starts casting whatever he can to weaken my units as he gets going here. So in this next picture, you see the chariot has come into the front of the Noblars. The BSB has charged into the flank of the Noblars. You know, they're Noblar trappers. This is exactly what they're going to do, and I'm really keen about this setup because I've got 2 sets of them. And my idea is that I make everyone do double charge to get through them. That's double a train check, and it couldn't be better than against the chariot. Exactly where I want to be. He cast Ray of Enfeeblement, or whatever it's called, on my units of bulls with the 2 characters, so just to make me a little less likely to charge him. And it works, believe me. Although I can dispel it in my turn. I do drop the Hellheart at the beginning of his turn, magic phase. He gets a template, does 1 wound or 2 wounds to the Skull Crushers, 1 I guess, doesn't wound the BSB, and everything else survives. So it was a good chance, good try, and I can't remember. Oh, but we had the most crazy number of miscasts. You can see also rolled Dangerous Train and killed his own chariot, which was awesome for me. But with the Hellheart and with everything else, he rolled a ton of miscasts. By the end of the game, I think his level 4 was down to a level 1, maybe a level 2. Finally kills off his level 2 caster or level 1 caster with the extra channel thing. It was just crazy. The last turn he kills him off. His BSB obviously beats the Noblars. During my turn, leadership 10 rerollables, just awesome. At least I've got that, even though I'm all bollocksed up on myself in here. I charge my Noblars rally in that last picture. I charge the Mournfang Cav into the dogs here, and this is where the mistake is, because the Mournfang, I can line them up, I just need to maximize, so I maximized, and I can overrun into the Skull Crushers. I'm really happy about that. I'm going to get my impact hits. So great. I take this unit, I charge him with like the Chimera, all the impact flaming hits. I think I get D3 because I rolled high enough. I just annihilate the thing. It's only got 4 wounds, and without the regen, it's dead before it even gets to attack back. So that's just awesome. I easily defeat the dogs because I can overrun. I get a wheel, and I wheel in, so it's full on here, which is great for me. You know, again, maybe it would be smarter if I had swung over a little bit more, stayed as far away from the warriors as possible. But I was feeling saucy, feeling pretty on top of things, and good about it all. And this is what it looks like after the Chimera is dead. The Noblars have rallied. The Mournfang are in combat, but it's a total cluster here in the middle. I think my general, I shifted him over to the left of the unit, thinking that it would be smart so I would be within range of the Mornfang, but now he can't charge out of the unit into the BSB or do anything else crazy like that. I'm completely stuck one unit behind the other, and and my man-eaters are way out of range here, which I just don't love. And you know, I should have just be smarter about it. I was feeling great about this combat. In the past, my Mornfang have done really well and bested the Skull Crushers for the most part, but it doesn't go so hot when they are weapon skill 1, toughness, strength 1, like all of a sudden I couldn't do anything. Even with, and then he comes into this flank with all of his warriors. Even with all of that, he's only able to kill one of them. I'm not able to do any wounds. Tough strength 2 is just not that awesome, just for future reference. If you want strength 2 Mornfang, it's not the greatest, but as tough as they are, they're not immortal. But because he's Khorne, he has to pursue. So it ends up like this. He's got my unit off the board, but they're stuck there. I get a rear charge. I roll like Ogre charge, boxcars. So I'm back into the rear of these guys. What I should have done, and you can see it in the next picture a little bit better, is I should have just looked to see if the Iron Guts were in the flank. I didn't even bother to look. I thought it was a moot point, and just in retrospect, I should have looked. If it were, the Iron Guts would have been able to charge the flank, and then I really could have got the job done. I put the Gnoblars right in front of the disc BSB, and I bring the man-eaters up as far as I can, just to get as close as possible, so hopefully I'll get to charge. And try to angle them so that they can reach around, which they will be able to if I can clear out the Iron Guts. I'm out of range of most everything, so I cast Fireball on the BSB. I roll 5 hits and 5 wounds, and unfortunately I don't kill him. He saves once. I do 9 wounds to the warriors. They're steadfast and they stick. They turn around and face me. I'm in a challenge against his Sorcerer Lord with my BSB, and he's unable to kill me, and I just keep fluffing my attacks to kill him. So that keeps being a push, but we do wound each other back and forth and back and forth. And then, yeah, like this is just, everything's stuck in the middle and nothing's happening. So this is where I really messed up, and it would have been great if I could have got them a charge into the flank. Maybe I failed a charge into the flank. Maybe that's what it is, and they only move forward a couple. That could well be it as well. So I have buffed these guys with +1 strength with the Lore of the Maw spell, and he's debuffed me by -1 strength. So it all ends up being a push in the end. So the second round of combat during Warriors of Chaos turn 5, I do a little bit less damage. Now that his BSB is wounded, he's hidden in the back there. He's moved away from me and everything that I've got. Just trying to hide and protect him. Also keep him away from any shots from the Hell Cannon. I think he misfires with the Hell Cannon. Does yet another miscast on his side. I do a bunch of wounds this round. But he rolls Snake Eyes and sticks, which was pretty awesome. And this was in my turn 6 with my man-eaters in the flank, which, it was just great. You know, unfortunately he only had 1 rank, but I did a bunch of wounds still. I charged the Iron Guts out of the way after the BSB, so that's how I was able to get in there with the man-eaters. I think this is the round he blows up his level 2 or level 1. The BSB fails to rally, runs off the board. We're still in combat. He sticks around with his guys with the double 1s, which is really awesome for him, sort of. Now he still can't charge with his Skull Crushers, so it's not that awesome, but it's just really cool. It's always cool to roll Snake Eyes and stick, especially when you're massively outpowered. And the Ogres were doing great. So he survives with just the Sorcerer Lord. Fleet breaks, and I pursue with the small unit of Ogres with the BSB and Butcher in it. I only have 1 Ogre left, but that's enough. And I turn to face here. And I don't catch his general, which is most unfortunate. And we didn't realize it at the time, but going through these pictures, it's dawned on me that this is the actual end of the game. If that were the case, you know, I would have ended up really well on top, having hardly lost anything, and that would have been a big victory to me. As it was, I think it was getting a little bit late. Turns were going really fast, so I think we forgot to flip the little dice cube and remember what turn it was. So I'm still running around. My turn, I charge after him. I push him off the board. I charge my man-eaters into the skull crushers, thinking, all right, just see what happens. And I unwisely put my iron guts in the back here. Completely forget that my man-eaters are stubborn, so I do lose combat. I kill one skull crusher, or two even. No, I kill one in that combat. He beats me, I break because I forgot I was stubborn. He runs into these guys, and I do a bunch of wounds to him. He does a bunch of wounds to me. He wins by one, but I stick stubborn. Again, big victory to me, and it was a great game. Thanks for watching.